Well, I mean, clearly, the things have shifted in Canada since 2016. We have put in place an ambitious plan on climate change. We've put in place one of the most ambitious carbon pricing system in the world. Record level investment in public transit, in clean technologies, in renewables. But we need to do more. And one thing we've heard very clearly during the last federal election is that Canadians want us to do more, and they want us to do it faster. There's a number of ambitious commitments we took during the election, one of them being to put a cap on the emissions of the oil and gas sector. So this is something my team and I and the Department at Environment and Climate Change Canada, in collaboration with many other ministers and ministries, Minister Wilkinson at Natural Resources, and others will be working on to develop the methodology on how we do that. And obviously we will be consulting with provinces and territories, industry, civil society, and Indigenous leadership. The other ambitious commitment we've made is to phase out fossil fuel subsidies 2 years earlier than all of our G20 partners. This is a clear signal we want to send to Canadians, but also to the market, to investors, that the future of Canadian energy development, the future of the transportation sector, of the industrial sector, will be based on clean technologies, on green technologies, and that's what we will be working on in the coming months.
You were talking about the regions, and today Quebec is proposing a ban all oil and gas extraction. How do you think this could have come to influence the rest of Canada, and this is potentially moving in the same direction?
It is absolutely moving in the same direction. As you know, provinces have jurisdiction over natural resource production in Canada, not the federal government. Where we can intervene is obviously on the pollution, and that the Supreme Court was very clear on that during its ruling on carbon pricing. So on issues of climate change, the federal government can intervene on pollution, which is exactly what we're doing, like putting a price on pollution, like putting a cap on the emissions of the oil and gas sector. But in terms of production, it's up to provinces. Very glad that Quebec is taking this step forward. It is clearly in line with what we're doing at the federal government, and I look forward to sitting down with the Quebec Minister of the Environment, Benoit Charette, who will be here, and I have met obviously other ministers, or even Premier Fury yesterday, who was here from Newfoundland. This is an important moment for Canadians, for Canada, and for the Federation. Certainement. La décision du gouvernement du Québec de se joindre à une coalition qui vise à cesser la production de pétrole et de gaz est tout à fait en lien avec ce que nous faisons au niveau fédéral. Évidemment, en termes de constitution canadienne, ce sont les provinces qui ont juridiction sur la production des ressources naturelles et non pas le gouvernement. Mais là, nous pouvons, et là où nous devons agir au niveau du gouvernement fédéral, c'est sur la pollution. Et le jugement de la Cour suprême sur la tarification carbone était très clair là-dessus. Alors c'est pourquoi nous avons mis un prix sur la pollution. C'est pourquoi nous avons annoncé un plafond sur les émissions de gaz à effet de serre du secteur du pétrole et du gaz. Mais si des provinces veulent en faire plus, si les provinces veulent travailler avec nous, c'est tout à fait ce qu'on souhaite, nous, au gouvernement fédéral, de travailler en partenariat avec l'ensemble des acteurs. J'ai pu, au cours des derniers jours, avoir des discussions avec le ministre de l'Environnement de l'Ontario, le premier ministre de Terre-Neuve et Labrador, et je serai heureux de m'asseoir avec mon collègue du Québec, Benoit Charette, lorsqu'il arrivera au cours des prochains jours. Mm-hmm.
It's your job to get it done.
Yes.
How are you going to get them on the table because Joe Biden will touch on this?
Well, Canada has proposed here a very ambitious global target. Right now, about 20% of the world's emissions are covered by one form or another of carbon pricing system. Our goal by 2030 is to get to 60% of the world's emission. No one says it's easy. No one says it's going to be done overnight. 5 years ago, this would have been unthinkable. There was no appetite whatsoever for this kind of conversation. And when the Prime Minister made that announcement, we had the Premier of Sweden who was there, the President of the European Union, leadership of a number of multilateral institutions, the World Bank, the IMF, and the World Trade Organizations, all saying this is what we need to do. So I don't have all the answers, but this is something we in Canada, with many other partners around the world, will be working on in the coming months and years.
Is it important that the U.S. is not there? Isn't that important?
We have an amazing working relationship with this administration in the U.S. Very aligned on climate change, on electrification of vehicles, on clean energy, on nature-based solutions. So we are doing a lot of work with the Americans, and we will continue to do so.
Okay, there's a couple more questions because today there are big announcements from COP, the fossil fuel defunding, plus the coal pledge, phasing out coal power. But there are countries that are missing, that are outside: Australia, China, India, the U.S. also. Are ministers and politicians here making this a win more than it actually is?
Oh, I think it is a win. We started that with 28 members just 4 years ago. We're up to 165 members now. In the last few years, 75% of planned coal plants were canceled. This is a win for the planet. This is a win for the people. Cleaner air, more breathable air in many parts of the world. But is there still work to do when it comes to phasing out coal? Absolutely.
You were a climate activist before.
I still am a climate activist.
Thank you for clarifying. You have Greta Thunberg here, a lot of young people who are also saying this is not enough. What is your message to them? You are now in a position to make changes. You were once in their position. What's your message?
I was those kids 25 years ago at the first conference of parties in Berlin, calling on governments to do more. And today I am in government working hard every day with my cabinet colleagues, with the Prime Minister, to ensure that Canada plays a very constructive role. We have an ambitious plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The world is seeing what Canada is doing and how Canada is back when it comes to climate change. We've been asked, my colleague and friend Jonathan Wilkinson was asked to co-chair a working group on one of the most important elements of the negotiation in Glasgow, and delivered on that. We're doing more, and each time we meet collectively, we agree to do more in terms of financing for adaptation, in terms of the level of ambition. When we came into power, Canada's targets for 2030 were 30%. Our new targets now are between 40 and 45%. Is that enough? No, and we need to do more. We've doubled our contribution for adaptation. Is that enough? Do we need to do more? Absolutely, but certainly it's twice as much as what it used to be just a few years ago. And I think that's the spirit of these negotiations and why countries should be coming here.
Do you think we could get businesses on board?
Well, I was at a panel yesterday with private investors from Canada, from the US, people who manage billions and billions of dollars, who were talking about how do we do this together? How do we phase out coal? How do we phase out fossil fuels? How do we accelerate the clean energy revolution? If you would have told me in 1995 as a young activist that one day I would be environment minister sitting with my colleague from finance and from natural resources, having this conversation with investors who have at their disposal billions and billions of dollars to invest in climate change solution, it would have been unthinkable, and yet here we are. So this transformation is happening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.